Hey, Terry, how are you? 15 minutes behind. I apologize, everybody. I was got up really early this morning to go hit the links with my son and some friends. Started off very early in the morning, shot pretty well, but every now and then you run into some Chicago traffic, which can pop up like a thunderstorm in South Florida. You just unexpected anytime, any place, anywhere. And that's why we're behind by about 12 minutes today. Well, we've been a little bit earlier, Terry, except I went to open up a Sprite, and I think you might see some remnants on my hat. It just went boom in my desk right below my microphone and right below what you see here.
Wow.
It's sticky. Horrible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I hate that.
Mm-hmm. My shorts are wet like if I was out in the rainstorm or something. They pop up rainstorm in South Florida, hit me in Chicago, and it's a pop-up Sprite storm.
Yeah, well, to me, it's been a little bit busy morning because when I got up and started looking, I started looking at the foreign races because I haven't done much of that. So, I think I know which races we're going to be talking about. But at Colonial Downs, there were like 20 scratches, which really changed my picks completely. So I've been rushing around trying to get it figured out.
Well, it should make our on-the-fly prime rib really kind of inexpensive today, I would expect, because I don't really have a lot to go from. I've got some horses I like. That's it. We're going to go through the news, Terry's best bet, and then Tom's going to join us to talk about some big races at York. Tom will be with us today, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, and then on Saturday we go back to the live contest at Del Mar. So let's start with the news of the day, which is, again, local. We've been kind of, hitting on these things a little bit lately. And one of the areas that we've been talking a little bit about is Illinois racing, right?
Yes.
So in a nice article here today from Richard Duchessois' son. So Richard Duchessois, that's a very aristocratic name for a very aristocratic guy. So aristocratic that the government actually wrote rules for him in his train company. That's another way that Warren Buffett got richer too. So maybe there's something in owning trains. But he says it's not Churchill's fault. He says it's Illinois politicians. I have no faith in our government in Illinois at all, including Governor J.B. Pritzker. Yeah, I mean, what did he do? He was just a lucky offspring. Just happened to have a trust fund baby who can become the governor. But he says Springfield, Illinois, which is the capital of my state, is a bigger swamp than Washington, if that's possible.
Wow.
What do you think about that, Terry?
Well, I'll tell you, I was really surprised with this article. I had no idea that was what they're going to blame. It kind of makes Churchill Downs not look so bad, I think. This maybe shares the
some of the blame.
Some of the blame. So anyway, yeah. And I'm hoping that because they have another entry into this, that's a racing entry, that they'll keep the racing here. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, Tom says, yeah, what about Hollywood Park in Calder? Let me say this, Tom. You live in Illinois, man. Both things can be true at the same time. Illinois government, I don't have any faith in Illinois government. Our taxes are high. Our services are low. Crime is out of control. The kids aren't getting educated. I mean, I don't know really what we pay taxes for. That's why U-Hauls charge extra on the one way out of this state. It's going to take some folks like you and I, Tom, to correct it. Maybe someday we'll run for office. I don't know about that. Which brings me into our next story, which we've talked a lot about this as well. Donna Brothers wrote a nice piece about what's wrong and what's right with horse racing. And one of the things that she goes with, which kind of I find kind of interesting, is she talks about the Horse Racing Act with government. So on one hand, you have Richard Duchessois blaming government, right?
Yes.
On the other hand, you have us now saying we're going to rely completely on the government to fix our sport. There's a lot of people right now, and I don't mean to be crass at all. There's a lot of people right now at Afghan Airway that depended on the government, right? Ronald Reagan said, hey, when they knock on the door and they say, I'm the government and I'm here to help. I can't understand why these big racing commissions, Kentucky and New York and Florida and California, can't get together and set it themselves.
Yeah, I would think they should, but I guess they squabble too much about stuff. everybody wants their own way, and they
Mhm.
don't want to compromise on anything. So
Well, I mean, I don't. What is I don't think we should turn to the government. Why should we turn to the government to fix something we can fix ourselves, right? If people can't self-police, if Kentucky doesn't have the courage or New York doesn't have the courage to kick out the bad trainers and the dopers, I mean, you really expect the federal government to fix that? One size fits all? I don't think that that's the
No.
answer personally either. I don't see why. I mean, it seems to come down to three issues, right? When you read it over and over again, the whip, right?
yep,
How much drugs you can give a
Drugs.
horse and when you can give them, right?
yep, that's right.
And then the purse and stuff like that. But it comes down to drugs, and then what's the punishment going to be? Well, why can't tracks get together and say, okay, across the country, you can whip the horse under these rules. Mike Smith says the Tampa rules are the best. Let's go with the Tampa rules. We know what we want to do with the drugs, right? The horses in California, what they're out there doing seems to be working because the fatality rates are dropping. So we can take what they're doing in terms of fatality rates and drugs out in California and maybe apply that across the country. Each track can and take that. And I don't see why that would be a problem. And then we don't have to wait on a heavy-handed solution from a bunch of politicians that don't know anything about horse racing anyway.
Well, that's true. And, look at what they've done in the past with different things. They always screw it up. So.
Well, he says New York and Kentucky kicked them out. California can turn a blind eye on the trainers. Well, the answer to that is California. If California is going to turn the eye on them, then New York, Kentucky, Louisiana, Florida, all the other states, just don't let them run, right?
Yeah.
Limit their choices. If you can't run in the Kentucky Derby because you're banned in Kentucky, that's going to take away some of the luster. And I think it's also going to turn away some of the owners from some of the better horses from working with trainers who are banned from running in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Well, yes, Tom says their deaths are down because the field size are down and they race 3 days a week. That could be true too, right? Yeah. Right, that's possible. But I think across the entire, when you look at this article here, they're talking about statisticals from the across the whole country. So you see the fatality rates are dropping from 2 to 1.4. I mean, still probably higher than anybody wants it to be. But the fact that they're declining means we're headed in the right direction. And then you do have to take the horse's safety into account for sure.
Sure.
I mean, that is the sport. It should be the utmost focus of what the people at the tracks are doing, the horses and the horsemen, and then everything else comes after that, because they're the ones out there that are actually risking quite literally their lives at times so people can make their wagers.
Yep.
All right, Terry. So that's kind of that opinion out of the way. Got everybody fired up about the government. Yes, coming to save us. As Thomas Jefferson said, who are these better angels, right?
Yep, that's true.
All right, Terry. So now it's time to get into the meat and potatoes of the show. Your pick. How did you do yesterday, by the way?
Well, yesterday my third choice won the race and paid $760 and $340. Son of Batman. My first choice ran completely out,
and we agreed that was Robin, right? Saw that in the Lego movie.
Yes, and then on my second choice ran third. So it wasn't great, but if you threw out my first two choices and took my third, you'd be okay. Mm-hmm. As of today, I have nothing to say because all three of my horses were scratched.
That's a beautiful thing. Well, I guarantee you can't lose today then, right, Terry?
I cannot lose. Nope. So
there, Terry, all three of Terry's horses are scratched. And it felt like yesterday during the pick 4, all of my horses were scratched.
Yeah.
Because we got off to a bad start, and then it didn't get much better after that, Terry. Even the one that we put together so gleefully, it just didn't work out. So today, I know I put a lot of work in last night, did a lot of extra reading, and then I got a text from Terry. Hey, look, man, all of these horses are scratched. So we're going to have I don't know that our prime rib pick 4 is going to be all that expensive today, Terry.
Yeah, it depends on what you do. If as far as mine goes, if I played the one that I've actually put together, it would cost $90.
Oh, well, we'll see what we put together, Terry. So let's start in race number 6. This is a race where you have a couple of first-time starters against the rest of the field is got some experience, so you got to break them up into groups. The question is, which group do you want to go with?
Yeah, that's true. Well, for me, I like. I would single in this race, but I like the number 6 Mackenzie's Nova. She ran third. Ran third on the first race while being pressured the entire race.
Mm-hmm.
Has the highest last race speed rating, and the trainer wins 30% of the time when bringing a horse back for a second grass run. The jockey in the last 7 days have won 4 out of 11 mounts, and so he's been very hot.
So you want to single the 6 in the prime rib?
Well, that's what I would have done. Yes.
All right, in the prime rib too.
No, the prime rib. I bet it differently.
Okay, but right now we're putting together the prime rib. So the 6 horse,
no,
I agree.
I
agree with you on the 6 horse, Terry. There's no question the 6 horse should be in this spot.
Yeah.
So
the prime rib is where I singled. In the hot dog, I did not.
So your prime rib singled in the prime rib.
Yes, I singled in the prime rib.
All right, so let's look to see who's scratching this spot. Well, for me, I think a horse that we should put in here is, so I was looking at this from a turf standpoint, and from a turf breeding, the 7 horse, absolutely high stock. Mm-hmm. Its papa was a really quality horse over in England. When Tom probably joins us, he'll probably remember this name, but the papa's name was Noble Mission, run a lot of big races in Europe. Graded group, I think 3 Group 1 wins. So it was a pretty solid horse. Never finished worse than 4th, I think, in 21 runs. But this race, it looks to me like it's off the grass and on the dirt. Mm-hmm. And I shied away from the 1 horse, Stride, in my turf analysis because Candy Ride is more of a horse that had the pedigree for dirt. So I'm going to put the 1 horse in here instead of the 7 horse because of that pedigree. The pedigree for dirt for Stride is much better than the pedigree for number 7 high stock. So I want to put the 1 in, Terry. What do you say?
Well, the 1 was my second choice, so yeah, I'm fine with that.
Do you want to put in the 7 too, or do you have something else in mind?
I actually don't. Those are the 2 horses. So.
All right, I agree with you. I mean, if it were on turf still, I would absolutely want to put the 7 in there. But Papa was a grass goer, and they're on the mud, which could be beneficial to the 7 horse. I certainly won't be happy if indeed we were to lose out to the 7 horse. So race number 7. So we got a pretty inexpensive start. So race number 7 is on the inner turf for fillies and mares, 3 years old and up, runs 1 mile. And in looking at my analysis here, and again, we're off the turf. So in race number 7, yes, off the turf, a bunch of scratches, Terry. The 1, the 2, the 3, the 4 are out. The 7, the 8, the 9, and then the 12 are out. So that leaves only 4 horses.
Yes,
you have the 5, the 6, the 10, and the 11. Where do you want to start?
Well, the 5, Winty Banter, I think is going to be the favorite. I think it's going to be a hard favorite. So that would be my first choice. In reality, if I was doing my own ticket, I would all this race. But
you would put all 4 in. I mean, maybe we can do that. But I agree with you on the 5. But I also think looking at the bias for the track, for the distance and surface, it does favor closers. And looking at my analysis, the 11 horse of the horses that are left does have some of the best pace. Let's see, the 10, the 11, early pace. There's no 12. Yeah, so the only other horse in this race that I would even consider would be the 11 horse.
Yeah, I like it too. It's my second choice.
Okay, so we'll put him in there. Like I said, I have a feeling this is going to be a very inexpensive prime rib. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I'd like to add the number 10, saved at the wire.
Saved at the wire?
Yeah, she ran second in her last race at 6 furlongs and now stretches out. I think that'll help.
Okay. Well,
it's up to you.
It is closing. Yeah, you're right. But when it ran a mile, it ran really pretty poorly. 1 of 13. I would hate to see it beat us, Terry, but it doesn't look like it's going to have any early pace. And it won't have the best closing legs. Maybe we'll think about bringing the 10 back. But I don't want to go too deep in a 3-legged horse. I mean, a 3-legged race. So
yeah.
Let's go ahead and skip to race number 8 and see what we like in race number 8.
Okay. I like the number 1, Candra
Kendra.
Yeah, and
Kadri.
likes the distance, finishing 50% of the time in the money, winning 17% of those races, and he has the best dirt speed among today's starters.
All right, so you want to go with Kendra. So looking for me, the one horse, I do like the one horse. It was my third pick, and looking at it, see, there's no scratches here. And right now, it looks like it is going to be the favorite. It was a well beaten third out to a horse that I like more. I don't know that I will go any deeper than 3 in this spot. And because we won't go any deeper than 3, we'll go ahead and throw them up in here. This race was supposed to be on the dirt. It's still on the dirt. The dirt is listed as fast. At 6 furlongs, they've run 9 times at Colonial Downs. 100% of those were won by horses that were considered to be early speed. In my pace analysis, the 4-horse Litigant will be amongst the fastest in this group, and it already beat Kadri last time out that the two faced, and it wasn't even close. So I think if this 4-horse Litigant can get to the lead again, nobody's going to be able to keep up, and they can go make it 4 out of 10 to go wire to wire at Colonial Downs for 6 furlongs.
Oh, I believe that too. It was my second choice. You know, he's only ran at Colonial Downs once and won that race. He's having a good year where he finished 62% of the time in the money, and he's won 38% of those races. And he also has the highest last speed rating.
Mm-hmm. So any other horse that you would like to add?
Number 5, Arabian Prince, is dropping in class today and has a high percentage trainer. He may improve Lasix that's been added, and he has a sharp workout of 47 breezing. He was the first out of 27 workouts that day.
Yeah, I agree, Terry. The 5-horse. I don't like the 7-5 morning line odds, but it looks like he might be the favorite. And I also don't like the fact that he's more of a closer. He won't be anywhere near the early pace. He might be 5th or so out of the box, 4th, somewhere in there. But I do like the fact that he did put a bullet work in last time before he's going to head to the track to race live. And if he can be close to the front and break sharper, maybe that's what that bullet work is hopeful for, then he'll have a late kick that nobody will be able to catch him. So for me, in my picks, this is the only 3 horses I have in my pick 3. I don't really need to go any deeper than that, but do you want to go any deeper?
No, that's fine with me.
All right. So this is not even prime rib, Terry. This is becoming this is crackers and cheese. Last race is race number 9. It's a 5 furlongs, but it's not on the outer turf anymore because they are off the turf. And again, well, we only have a couple scratches here, the 6, the 7, and the 9. So that did wipe out a couple of my picks, Terry. But I'm going to start my picks with the 2-horse. And that's peculiarity. It's got the top combo of early pace and late pace figures. And I think this horse, if it gets towards the front, would be really hard to pass in the lane. So to me, I think this horse is the horse to beat.
Yeah, he was my third pick and drops in class today. And the dam has 1 winner from 2 starters. The trainer wins 29% of the time when bringing back a beaten favorite. So, yeah, I like the 2.
There you go. All right. And for you?
I like the 8, Sassy Mally. Has the highest last race speed rating, tie, and drops in class today. And the shorter distance, I think, will help her.
All right. I agree with you on the 8-horse, Terry. That was my second pick. Well, it became my second pick by default. It was actually my 3rd or 4th earlier in the day. As you mentioned, tied for the last race speed figure, is dropping in class. It does have some of the top early pace figures in the field, so it should be close to the front, if not on the front, pulling the rope. And I think when you look at this horse, you also see the improving lines up. So it's stepping up the performance ladder each consecutive race. If it makes one more step up today, it should be very much a threat to finish first at the finish line. And finally, for me, the last one I have is Pants on Fire. I feel like if the speed doesn't hold up, this is the horse that's got by far the best late pace figures. If it can break cleanly, get close to the front again, I think the 12-horse could be a real monster to pass if it's anywhere near the lead coming in out of the turn.
Yeah, he's my second pick, or she is. I mean, And she has a highest last speed rating also and drops in class today. Well, actually, that's not right. But anyway, I like her.
Okay. Anything else you want to add here?
Yeah, the 2.
We started with the 2.
Oh, we did.
Peculiarity. Yep.
Oh, that's right.
That was my first pick.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Then the 11, Nanny's Treasure.
All right.
Just the only thing I can say is dropped in class. And to tell you the truth, this is a race I think is really wide open.
Mm-hmm.
And in my pick, when I'm gonna play it today, I'll do all in this race. But the 11, the other one, I think we should put in there.
The 11 horse. Let's take a look at the 11 real quick. That is Nanny's Treasure. Mm-hmm. Third time off a layoff. Last time third off a layoff was its best, the sharpest by far. Ooh, 0 for 16, Terry. Hasn't really shown anything in terms of putting together a quality start. I don't know that we have to put that one in there. I honestly don't think that it's going to beat us.
Yeah, that could be true. Mm. But I've got a feeling there's going to be a long shot in this race.
You have a feeling it's going to be a long shot in here?
Yeah.
But well, very well could be.
We could leave it out.
So for me, if we're going to go a long shot, Terry, I think maybe the 7 is scratched. I was going to say the 7 horse might make some sense. But I don't really see anything else. Maybe the 4 horse. Is the 4 horse scratched?
No, 4 horse is not.
Diva Gal, lightly raced, should improve second time off a layoff. Let's see. Doesn't really have any solid workouts. I don't know that we need to really add anything, Terry. I think we're pretty good. But if you feel like the 11 horse is good to go, we'll put him in there because we still have money to spend, right?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that'd be cool.
So in race number 7, you wanted to put something else in there. We have 2 of the 4 horses in the field. I don't really feel like we need any more, Terry. Do you?
No, I think we're fine with this. And, the way I'm going to play it is going to be a lot different than this, but that's because, I'm going to play it with a single in the first race, and then I'm going to all the 7th race, and then 4 horses in the 8th, and then all the 9th. That's how I'm going to do my ticket today. So,
well, okay. So you want to settle on this as our agreed to prime rib? All right, I do. So you're looking at $24 prime rib.
Okay.
I don't know. That's like the prime rib that you used to get at. What was that? What was that place called? Country Buffet.
Yeah.
You remember that place or no?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of you're only there once. See, I told you Terry was the prime rib and caviar guy on the show. All right, Terry. So let's go now and take a look at our what we would have made our hot dog pick 4s. So I have the 6 and the 7. I probably should put the 1 in there, but I did do it for the turf. So I do have the 1 now in the prime rib. The 5 and 11, which is exactly the same. The 1, 4, and 5 exactly the same. 2, 8, and 12. We added your 11. So I think if I had the money, I would add the 1 to my first leg of the pick 6. The pick 4, and that would be an all-inclusive ticket for me, Terry.
Okay, yeah.
And how about for you?
I added the 1 and the 2 over what I would have done in the prime rib, and then let's see, and then the 5, 10. I like the 5, 10, 11, just like I think.
Pretty much what we have, yeah.
Yeah.
We have the 5, 11. We didn't have the 10. I don't think the 10 is going to be. I don't think there's a need for us to have 3 out of 4, but we could all that leg.
Yeah.
You could buy that leg, I suppose, because we have a lot of money left.
Well, I did the 1 and the 5 and the 8th. I actually like the 4 better than the 5, but I'm kind of afraid of the 5.
All right.
And then the 8 and the 12 in the last race is how I liked it. So
I felt really good coming into this pick 4 today until everything scratched out. So unfortunately, that's the way it goes, right?
It was very disappointing that they all scratched. So,
So now we're going to bring in 3, right? They say 2's company, 3's a crowd. So let's get crowded in here, and let's bring in day 1 at York. Tom, how are you today?
I'm doing good.
Let me bounce this thing so people can see you, Tom. I'm sorry. There he is. There is day 1 at York, Tom. So we got a couple of races, a trio of races that we're covering, not for today, but for tomorrow at York, right?
Yes, correct.
In which which stakes races are we covering at York?
We're going to do the Acomb Stakes, and it's a Group 3 race. We're going to do the Voltigeur Stakes, which is also a Group 2 race. And then we're going to, the big race is the Juddmonte International. That's a Group 1 race, and that's, unfortunately, St. Mark's Basilica is injured, so he's out of that race.
He's out. Yeah, I saw that news today. That's sad.
Yeah,
for sure. I agree with you. So the first race is, as you can see on the screen, it is the Acomb Stakes. It is 7 furlongs. The footing is supposed to be good, so I focused on the horses that might like a good footing. Again, this is for tomorrow, Wednesday, so they'll be running it around 10 o'clock Eastern time, somewhere around there, I noticed, or maybe 9:30.
2:25. It's 6 hours difference.
So now you're going to make me do math?
Yes.
It runs sometime in the morning around.
It runs in the morning, yeah.
All right, Terry. I mean, Tom, so who do you like?
Availability is usually around about 5 in the morning. So they turn this stuff over as soon as the Japanese racing is done. This I want to point out at York, 7 furlong race starts in a chute, and there is a turn, and the draw can affect the running of the race.
All right.
Unlike the 6 furlong races that we'll look at either this week, those are straightaways. So I went with the longest shot on the board.
Wow. Tom being Tom. Why would it be any other way?
Yeah, number 5, Royal Partnage. He has the draw 4. He's improved on every single race.
Mm-hmm.
And he won his last out, winning by 5 lengths. He looks good. He looks good that way. Breeding is definitely longer. Mile and a quarter is certainly within his wheelhouse. I think my last comment was he's going to be overlooked. I think he ran better than they're giving him credit for in this race.
Mm-hmm.
The favorite, I'm kind of neutral on. I just couldn't. I just thought that as I always say, the strange 2-year-olds, anything is possible, and I just think he's good enough to be the winner here.
All right.
I took number 4, Noble Truth, which has draw 5 as my second choice. A winner last time out, was eased at the end, has won on good to firm running. They're switching to William Buick, who runs at a 22% win percentage right now in 14 days. After the first race Noble Truth ran, the stewards questioned the jockey, and he said the horse was running too freely, which I thought was an interesting comment.
Mm-hmm.
The sire has sired many top milers, and one by the name of Palace Pier, and he was also King Kunming was a top miler. So the 7 could be a little short in the big picture, but right now, he should be comfortable in where he's been running in that. And of course, I got to tell. Of course, it's Godolphin owned.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't hurt any. The number 1 Dubai Legend, who is the favorite, won first asking very easily at 5 lengths.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, when he was asked to go, he went. James Doyle chose this horse over Noble Truth because he rode that one before.
Mm-hmm.
But the trainer is in the last 14 days is only going at a 7% win percentage, which is not really great.
No.
And the other thing I think is to mention is this race isn't the race that's in mind. The race is a Group 1 called the National Stakes, which will be coming up a little later, and was the listing in my looking. And so this may be just a let's see what he can do type of thing, but I really want to win the Group 1, which I completely understand why. So those are my choices.
For me, I'm looking at the number 4, Noble Truth. I put Noble Truth on the top because they paid $1.3 million for that horse. I don't care who the jockey gets off of, or $1.3 million something, right? Yeah. So that was absolutely the to me a mark that I can't overlook. And then last time improved sharply in its race. So I think that's a very strong positive for this horse. Number one, my second choice is Huge Legend, but a Dubai Legend, had a huge debut at the highest rated race. We're tied for the highest rated race, and also had a 7 furlong time that was just a tick slower. And it probably would have been faster if he hadn't won so easily. And then finally, for me, number 3, Imperial Fighter, is another one that won its debut in tied for the highest rated race. And it got off to a slow start on a off track, and then managed to move forward and still win. So I think if it gets off to a better start on a better ground, I think the horse could prove to be better than its odds right now. Terry, we did these picks for Wednesday, so they are for tomorrow. Or you did for the 19th?
I did it. Yeah, I did it for the next day.
Okay. So then we'll move on, Tom, to the next race, which is the Voltigeur Stakes. I know you're better with these foreign pronunciations.
No, that one stumps me.
All right. Since I'm the official pronunciator of the show, it is the Voltigeur.
Or you're the official non-pronunciator, like
whatever. I'm the one that makes the yeah. I am the version of Webster's when it comes to pronunciations at Horse Racing Radar. Who do you like?
Number 2, High Definition, has draw 1. It's had 2 good races and 2 sort of good races, or not really good races.
Mm-hmm.
Last race I tossed because the jockey stated when he was interviewed that he was hampered at the beginning of the race. So he had obviously lost all chances, and just really was not in the race at all. The winner of that race was one in France next out, and that's Hurricane Lane.
My favorite horse on the planet.
And he's, even when the not so good race was 2 back, he still finished 3rd, even though he had problems. But again, he was facing Hurricane Lane. Not shocked that he lost to the horse.
No, that horse is running as well as any right now.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line here to me is that the horse needs a better trip. And he's really, those 2 stinkers, he's not gotten it. And I can't complain about Aidan O'Brien training and Ryan Morup. They've certainly won their share of races, and I just, they can get this horse to settle well, tuck in. I think, a little class relief doesn't hurt any either here, that this will be your winner. I went with number 3, Scope, who has draw 2, has had time away from the races, and threw a shoe in his last race before they gave him some time off, and he still finished 3rd. So, he beat in his maiden win. He beat the runner-up of the Irish Derby, Mojo Star. His race at Newmarket, the best way to describe it is it was a green race. He hung right. It was a mess, and I'm going to give him a pass on that. I think I think the layoff helps here. I think that the distance is perfect for him, and it's just a matter of getting some racing luck and hopefully not throw a shoe again.
No.
I picked number 5, the Mediterranean, draw 5, is my final selection. It was 4th to Hurricane Lane last time out. It moved up during the running of the race, but it didn't finish. And that's really the bottom line. So a little class relief and not Hurricane Lane running against you probably helps. Probably helped. He won a maiden at this distance, and I think he does need that distance to get at least a placing in here. Winning, I don't know about, but certainly if you're going to play a trifecta, better look at this horse.
Real quick, Alejandro Yusnan is asking us about where you're going to find some winners at Thistledowns. Head on over to Horse Racing Radar, Alejandro. We give out the first few picks at every track, so you can go over there, look at the first 3 races at Thistledown, see what you like, and you might find out that the picks work out well for you. And then you can, of course, get the rest of them if you like. For me in this race, Tom, looking at I tell you all the time I should be the odds maker because I have Sir Lucin on top. It seems to be that this horse is putting in the best efforts on. So when you look at, I'm looking at again at the good track. So this horse has put in the best efforts, I think, in the field on a good track. I like number 1, Kamari. I mean, I'm going way off the line here. Coming off the Queen's Vase win out at Ascot, had some time off. That concerns me. So maybe maybe might need one before it gets back to the Queen's Vase type form. I like High Definition as my 3rd pick. So there you go. And I handicap these without the odds, folks. So it just works out that way. I don't know why. I should be an odds maker somewhere on this planet. And then finally, I like Yibber, the 7 horse. It is the 5th choice on here. Is only 3/4 of a length away from being unbeaten in 4 races on a good surface. So honestly, I think you could take those 4 horses, the 1, the 2, the 4, and the 7. You could put them in a hat and pull them out, and they could come in any order in which you pull them out, because I think it's a very tight race between those 4 horses. And then, of course, Tom has better training and scope, so they'll probably beat my 4 and make me look foolish. Finally, Tom, is the International Stakes. This one has some nice names in here. Mishrif, Love, Alcohol Free, Mohatif. I mean, these are all horses that have won some big races recently.
Group 1, Group 2. This is some of the best horses running. It's kind of too bad we don't get to see St. Mark's Basilica in this race, because it would be very interesting to see how he would stack up against the older ones. But I took Love, number 3, draw 2. Nice win over Adariar at Royal Ascot, and then an average race against Mistress and Adara. I just think she wasn't placed closer to the pace in that race. I just think she needed to be more forwardly running. And I mean, she maintained but never gained. And so
sounds like a lyric right there. Maintained but never gained.
Again, first out against the boys, maybe she needed the race, or they're try. She's just still figuring it out. I don't know. I mean, she's a really good horse. And, you're not gonna, is she got to go back against her own run against fillies? Maybe, but I still think she's right up there, and certainly is a candidate for the Arc. And this is just another test to see if she can pass it. And I think she's going to.
Well, that actually means then she's not going to run in the Darley Yorkshire Oaks, correct?
No, she's been scratched.
Yeah. Okay.
Or I should say, they call it declarations.
She's been declared out.
She's been declared to run in this race.
All righty. Good to know.
Well, remember, these horses are common, so I don't think he wants Snowfall against Love, which I completely understand. Number 4, A Lenqui, has draw 7. He got to see the back end of Hurricane Lane. That seems to be a recurring theme in these races.
It seems to be.
He ran another 3rd, but he wasn't getting to the winner. He's a Group 2 winner at Royal Ascot, Group 3 winner at Sandown, and there he beat Adara, who won the English Derby, I should say, and
Derby,
and the King George the Sixth and Queen Anne stakes, and in that race, of course, Adara beat Love and Mistress, was last out. So he's been in the heavy company. He just needs to have something change. And I think the change may be that Tom Marquette is back on the horse. And he has 3 times he's won on this horse. And the final note is that from both Mistress and Love, this horse is a 3-year-old, so he gets weight. Advantage being a 3-year-old in this race. My final choice is number 2, Mistress, has draw 6. He was trying to get to the winner, last race out, which was St. Mark Basil. He just didn't.
You can't get that horse.
He's just not. Yeah, he was just not going to do it.
Mm.
He's got two. He had two great efforts out in the Middle East. I think personally he'll run a good race, but I think Gosden has in mind another race, and I think that's the Breeders' Cup Classic at Del Mar. I think he may not run him. I don't think he's going to run him in the Arc. I think he's looking for that dirt race. And he's already proven that he can beat Charlatan and Nick's Go in Saudi Arabia. So, is this matter whether he wins or loses? He's already won a ton of money. So, I think
it always matters, Tom. But yeah.
Well, I just think the other two are better placed than he is at this point. His last race was okay, but he wasn't able to catch that 3-year-old. Yeah, he gave up some weight, but we'll see what happens. I mean, certainly a good horse. There's no question about that.
For me, I'm going to go with number 6, Mohafet. Horse is undefeated in 3 at the distance, so until somebody gets the better of him at the distance, I'm going to stick with him. And then he's only a neck away from winning 5 races in a row, so that's a pretty solid thing. I'm going to go with number 3, Love. I think you could toss out the last race. Should be better in the third start off a layoff, the traditional handicapping angle. And I expect that Ryan Moore will have Love closer to the front than he did in the last start. I do like the favorite, Mischief, but I do think that the length, actually, 1.25 miles-ish, a little bit, maybe less than that. I actually think it's not long enough against the top-rated horses. So I think he actually wants more distance. And then finally, Alcohol Free. It just won a Group 1 against Poetic Flair, and it seems to me that this horse has done nothing wrong in 7 out of 8 starts. So 6-1 seems like more than a fair line on that. But to me, I really like Mohafet here.
Yeah, it's because she's never run the distance. She's been running.
Yeah, she's never done anything wrong, though, at any other distance. Just one bad race in 8. So that wraps up our picks in England. That wraps up our picks at Colonial. What the heck? We figured Colonial and York, they go together, right? It's a match made. And we talked a little bit about Arlington Park and the politics of Illinois, just the most wonderful state for politics. And then we talked a little bit about more politics, the government taking over horse racing, which, I'm not the biggest fan of that idea. I feel like the track should work it out themselves. Like I said early on, who are our better angels? We'll be back tomorrow. Tom, what races are we covering tomorrow at York?
We have the Yorkshire Oaks, which will feature Wonderful Tonight and Snowfall.
We'll have Eric Clapton on the show. Just kidding.
We'll have a Group 2 race for fillies 2-year-olds that are going 6 furlongs to the Lothar. Should
be an adventure.
Yeah, well, that's going to be 6 furlongs being a straight 6. The gate is supposed to be in the center of the track, so that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And then we're going to drop down a little. We're going to do a listed race. It is a Class 1 race, and this is it's open for 3-year-olds, and a 1.5 mile race that should be very interesting to take a look at, because the field's a little bigger. I want to point out too, I put my picks on the sheet if it gets published. Haha.
It'll get published.
Or the other races, and the other races have one has 22 horses, one has 20. So you want some interesting betting opportunities. Those big fields can usually bring some of the worst and best out of us gamblers.
Yes, all of this will be published on Horse Racing Radar in just a little bit. I'll be uploading it in about, it's going to be about 15, 20 minutes after the show is over to get it up. So so head on over to Horse Racing Radar. We'll have it there. If you haven't already, go down there and hit the subscribe button like many others have, and the bell so you know when we get cracking. We do this every day, Monday. Yes, indeed. Monday through Friday. Monday through Thursday, Terry and I do the pick 4s at the local tracks or the North American tracks. Tom and I do it on Friday for the international, but because this week is dotted with some big international races at York, we're doing it throughout the week. Terry, what will we be doing tomorrow for the hot dog pick 4? And our on the fly 4.
Saratoga. So
Oh.
I thought we'd try that track for a change.
Try to hit some. Well, they got deeper money pools over there, so if we hit some right things, it'd be good. So that'd be perfect.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, and to tell you the truth, for tomorrow, I've already looked at the 3 races for tomorrow. So
getting a head start, cheater.
Got a head start. Yes,
indeed. All right, folks. So make sure you follow us on Twitter or Facebook at Racing Radar. If you like the show, and many of you do, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback. Thank you. I sincerely appreciate the kind words. But tell your friends about us. However it is you communicate. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Heck, if you still use the rotary phone, just turn them numbers, tell your friends about us. Head on over to Horse Racing Radar. We will have free contests every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Free to enter. If you win, you get some free money, fat in your bankroll for the weekend. On Thursday, we'll be doing the Players Edge podcast at 9:30, discussing Del Mar and the Pacific Classic. So we'll have some good insights, hopefully, on that. We had some nice winners at Arlington Park last week. 2 Emmys, had them. And we'll find out who we like at Del Mar for the Pacific Classic on Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow at our normally scheduled time, which is 1 o'clock Eastern. Again, Terry and I will be doing the pick 4. We'll find some news items of the day to discuss, and then we'll wrap it up with Tom back at York again for Thursday. Until we meet again, as always, folks, may all your tickets be winners, and we will see you in the winner's circle.